to all the aspiring and emerging leaders out there. Welcome to yet another episode of the Full Stack Leadership Podcast. Through conversations with accomplished senior business leaders, I cover three essential layers of competencies for being an effective leader: leading self, leading and influencing others, and creating business impact. This is your host, Krishna Prasad, inviting you to come along. Today, I'm in conversation with Angelin Mary.
She is a graduate computer science engineer and holds a master's degree in software systems from BITS Pilani. She started her career as a scientist in DRDO in radar systems development. She has, over the last 25 years, had several leadership positions in leading automotive and industrial automation centers like Delphi Automotive, Aptiv, and Honeywell Technologies. Angelin is currently the Vice President for Vehicle Compute Platform Software in Daimler Truck Innovation Center. She is responsible for a large team of software engineers doing some cutting-edge development for Daimler Trucks for worldwide products. She is regularly featured in leading Autotech magazine for her thought leadership. She is also a very active member in Women in Tech forums. Angelin, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you on this show.
Thank you, KP. Thanks for a very well written introduction.
Okay.
And it's my pleasure to be with you and sharing my experiences and also thought leadership here.
Sure. So we have a lot of young aspiring leaders out there, and then that's our audience. And so it's always good for them to kind of, get to hear some, interesting ideas from senior leaders like yourself. But before we get to any topic, can you take our leaders through your own leadership journey up to now, right? And more importantly, if you can highlight some of the twists and turns, along the way.
Sure. Yeah. So I will be glad to share, my leadership journey. In fact, when I started off my career, and I was more inclined always towards technology and development. So I opted to take the technical career path first, right?
Okay.
And I wanted to become a software architect. And
Okay.
I thought that I will most suit from my personality as well as the inclination towards technology in a technical career path. But then gradually, maybe when I was around 10 years of experience in the industry, I happened to meet someone who was talking about program management and the challenges of facing the customer and the excitement that you get to deliver a product and you can see it on the road by yourself. And then I thought that, okay, all along I have been doing software and coding, and I forgot about the product that in which this software gets into. That was my trigger point. So after I come back from my maternity of my second daughter, I opted for this program management role. So that time the company also was pursuing India business, and that was also given me an opportunity to get into program management. So it was an individual contributor role, though it was a project management role. I had to influence a lot of people to get the things done.
Okay.
And me being a software background and this being an embedded product, which is an ECU, getting into an Indian market in an Indian OEM, it has multiple competencies that are getting into it. It could be mechanical, electrical, and also manufacturing.
Yeah.
And the plant was in Singapore. So it was like a personality change for me. I
Okay.
did not fully know that where I am getting into,
Yeah.
right? And I really spent a lot of time in getting to know these processes of competencies so that I can challenge the people They
Oh,
don't just,
okay.
take me for granted and, tell me that this cannot be done and that cannot be done. In order to challenge the people, I literally spent my time to get into those manufacturing processes, mechanical processes, and electrical processes, and so
Okay.
on.
Mm-hmm.
And the most difficult part was dealing with the customer. I
Mm.
have never thought about it, and the Indian customers, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just the language or the culture.
Mm.
So I think the software industry works differently than a manufacturing plant or an auto industry plant. But I took that as a challenge, and it took 6 months of emotional
I see. Okay.
hardship also to overcome that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, that was the most enriching experience, I would say, that 6 to 7 years, which gave me a different thought process that I can get into an engineering leadership and in a larger role. So that's one of the twists that you have
Okay,
mentioned
very
also.
nice, very nice. How do we characterize this twist? This twist is more from being an architect, being, let's say, a coding, designing person, individual contributor, to a more program manager, which is a much wider, kind of canvas. That's.
Exactly. Yeah. So next, I took up an engineering leadership role,
Mhm.
and I had not done a direct people management role, and I
Okay.
have
Hmm.
taken up a senior management role for independent testing and validation,
Hmm.
where managers reporting to me.
Okay.
And I was also conscious about it that, okay, though I know I can handle people well and influence people well, to get things done, but now I'm jumping directly into a senior management role, managing managers. Um,
Hmm.
but then, to my surprise, that I could definitely do or transition into that very smoothly.
Hmm.
And so I think this helped me influencing people without having a direct reporting.
Yep.
In your first leadership ladder helped me to get into this role of people reporting to you, and then you have to get things done.
Okay.
So that is one thing I can tell
Mhm,
you, maybe.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
that's
mhm.
another
Yeah.
step. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's a very interesting thing what you mentioned. So what you're saying is uh, typical managerial growth. You
Hmm.
always have people, part of your team, so like how you deal with them. But now what you're saying is because of your earlier program management role, what I understood is where you need to work with people with more influence, right? So
Exactly.
because they're not maybe part of your team, they work with different leaders. And that is something which you help in your new engineering leadership role. Is that
Exactly.
walk us through how did you manage yourself?
Hmm.
Like who were your kind of partners who could help you through this change? Was it all yourself telling the story to yourself, or you could lean on some people, some mentors? Because that's something which we hear a lot of young leaders struggle
Hmm.
to transition maybe from one role to another,
Hmm.
from one technology to another. Is there something you can walk us through?
Yeah, definitely. Um, it was not an easy journey in the beginning when I
Hmm.
even took the program management shift, right? With
Hmm.
a lot of complication. It is beyond my comfort zone. It's
Hmm.
not my competency. I have to deal with multiple competency, and I have to deal with customer, plant, and logistics, and purchasing, and so on. It's like an
Hmm.
entire product development.
Hmm.
On top of it, there is a business angle to it, because I am responsible for the profit and loss of the product that I am dealing with. So with all these new things added up, plus I have to only getting things through influence, right? It was not easy. And also personally, right? I have a son who is young, right? And a daughter is a baby, it's an infant.
Okay.
And I had added a lot of variables for myself to handle.
Okay.
And then all the people that I have to deal with, the leads in different competencies, were either much senior to me,
Mm-hmm.
and they are experts in their own field, and I was the youngest in that kind of a group, or the team, slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I was telling my son at home that, you need to cooperate with me, you have to do your work on your own, and mama has people who are senior to me to deal with, I am
Mm-hmm.
struggling with. you know
Oh.
you know what he said?
Uh-huh.
That's an important thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember. That's why I'm trying to quote this. He told me, Mom, this is your choice, right? You only chose this change into a new role, and otherwise you could have been comfortable in the
Yeah.
previous one. So you need to basically deal with it, right?
Deal
He
with
didn't
that.
deal with
Okay.
it, but
Uh-huh.
that I just, I was silent for some time. I said that I cannot expect anything from my family or kids just because I pushed myself into a different role, and I have decided to come out of my comfort zone that
Yeah.
cannot impact anyone else. Then I started thinking differently,
Okay.
and that is one thing. Then I have to deal with it. This is my choice. This
Okay.
is one thing. Actually, my I can say, my husband also, for example, helped me to deal with this. He's a different personality.
Mm-hmm.
I share certain critical problems which are emotional, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Professional problems we can handle
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
There are
Mm-hmm.
many things which are dealing with the conflicts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
different perspectives. So when I share a problem with him, he will give how he would deal with.
Mm.
Not that I would follow that because that won't suit my personality, but that will give me an idea. Okay, there are different ways to handle
Yes.
things, and it will open up for me to come out of my emotions and take the right step towards that. So I share a lot and trouble him a lot even today when I cannot deal with certain emotions in the office.
Wow. Okay.
One more thing I have learned from my peers, because as I said, I was joining this team, but there
Mm.
are already senior program managers in
Sure.
the team, and I would be dealing in a totally different way than some of them. For a same issue, even though my project is all green in a project review meeting with my boss, I would sit through the entire project review to listen to how others are dealing with it, and they deal totally differently.
Mm.
And I have learned certain way of dealing with issues courageously from some of my peers. So
Okay.
that's a peer learning. They may
Sure.
not be also aware. So these
Yeah.
are a couple
Yeah.
of things. Sorry, a long
Wow.
story.
No, no, no. Absolute. No, I think, there were some really very important knowledge nuggets which, got shared. Sometimes when you're pushed to a new role and maybe it was not your choice,
Hmm.
right? Initially, maybe they're still thinking it's not their choice, but maybe later they'll start, right?
Hmm.
Is there something different which people can do to manage that?
Yeah. Um, See, one thing is, it has to be our choice to take up
Mm-hmm.
a role.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are pushed, of course, we can negotiate, right? If it is not at all into our personality or
Yeah.
our leadership skills or, work style, we can always negotiate, and we can opt
Mm-hmm.
to stay in the current, or we can always look for another opportunity which will suit us, right, and our personality, our competence, and our
Mm-hmm.
work style, and so on. That's one thing. If you are really pushed into a new domain due to various business reasons, or any other situation, one thing I believe, at any point in time in our career, or even during our lifetime also,
Mm-hmm.
we can learn new technology, new
Mm-hmm.
domain, new area. But we need to put that effort. We
Yeah.
need to spend our time,
Mm-hmm.
because in the leadership, we are not getting into the details of coding and testing and so on. But we need to understand the product, understand the technology. There are multiple resources available today.
Yeah.
Even I have learned when I moved out of automotive into another industry for a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
I used to spend my weekends watching YouTube videos and go through the articles in the
Sure.
internet. There's a lot that we can learn in
Okay.
order to challenge our people and channelize them, and we should know, are we taking the right directions to that extent. So it's all in the mind, I think, to be
Yeah.
open to spend that time and
Yeah.
energy if we are pushed or if we decided to get into a
Yeah.
new technology, new domain.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
how.
Okay. No, I think that's a great input. Yeah.
So
Okay.
learning
Mm-hmm.
can never stop.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I have also done this. When a job becomes my left-hand job, I kept moving. Not necessarily I switched companies,
Sure.
but
Sure.
within the company,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel very, very restless
Yeah.
if there is
Yeah.
nothing much to, for you to contribute and
Yeah.
for you to be challenged. So I think learning is a continuous process, and without it, I think we'll become rusted, and I
Understood.
think it's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
right thing to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Okay. No, I think that's a very important topic that you brought up. Typically, in our leadership stack, we call it an S curve,
Hmm.
and people go through different S curves. And we
Hmm.
say, there is a point where in your role, you could end up getting saturated in terms of how you're adding value in
Exactly.
your role into the company. The moment you realize that somebody else can add much higher value in place of you, then it's time to think, okay, it's, I think absolutely right. It's not about just changing companies.
Yeah.
It is exploring opportunities maybe within your, current company center
Exactly.
and so on. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to come back on your other. I found it pretty, very interesting. You said, look, I used to bounce this off, especially some emotion related, whatever,
Hmm.
not fitting to personality with maybe your husband. And you also made a statement that, okay, I would listen to him, but maybe I didn't exactly implement what he said, but I would still try to take it. And so how do you possibly implement that in the workplace as a leader? Because a lot of times people say, hey, leader, you should become a coach to your young managers.
Hmm.
So even though you don't need to necessarily tell exactly what to do, but you may have to open up their thinking. Can you
Exactly.
throw some light, like maybe relate to what this conversation, what you had with your
Yeah.
husband?
So when it comes to coaching,
Mm-hmm.
when I got into this people management role first,
Mm-hmm.
um, I also coach my team or even outside team when they approach, right? And when I promoted an young engineer into a manager,
Mm-hmm.
so I by default thought that I can coach him, right?
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it took me more than 1.5 years or so to understand there is a different thought process and an approach for this person towards leadership than mine. So I have taken for granted that
Mm-hmm.
I can coach him and I want to develop him in this, but then I missed a point that he has a different thought process towards leadership and a different mindset towards his own career or a role that he has taken it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
literally, I had to, step back
Mm-hmm.
and, let me leave it to him to handle. And I am not going to give any tips and advices and so on. Then I started thinking coaching differently. Then anyone who comes and say, I want to learn from you,
Yeah.
then I tell them, okay, you come up with some scenarios
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
a specific instance
Mm.
that you felt difficult to handle or you faced very uncomfortable to deal with. I will only share how I would have handled that situation.
Mhm,
Then
mhm,
you take it up in your own way. So
mhm.
I changed this coaching into a different style. Um, I realized this thing that a same problem can be handled in multiple ways. This is not a technical
Mm,
problem to have one solution versus another solution,
mm.
and lot of personality related also.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've told the team, whoever comes to me for coaching, I tell them that this is how I have handled or I would have handled. Now you need to decide what works for you,
Yeah.
your value system, your principles, your style, and you adapt. So I think there it's not a do's and don'ts and a list of black and white rules to follow, but
Mhm.
I open them up to think, okay,
Mm.
what will
Mm.
work for me. I think this is
Yeah.
this is one.
Okay. I think this is a great piece of advice because we work with a lot of young leaders, also senior leaders in especially technology companies, and many of the people who have grown with technology, they somehow see a lot of things black and white. And they say, oh, like we have been doing technology, we have been writing code, either it works or it doesn't work. But when it comes to dealing with people, it's not really black and white. I think you made a great point. Also, I thought it was a very good message to young leaders out there that don't expect other leaders to be exactly like you,
Exactly.
right? Even though they're part of the same team, maybe they're working in the same department, but that doesn't mean they all have to behave and do things like you, right? I think that's a great message, for the young leaders out there. I would like to come back to this whole learning part, and I picked up a very, very interesting thing what you spoke about, how you learn from peers. So you said, hey, look, we were part of reviews, and then I would intentionally sit through maybe through reviews of my peers, even though it was not necessary that you be there. Is that correct?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
you're part of the meeting, and it is a choice you can make to stay in the meeting, even though your review is over. Uh, but that you made it a point to look at it as a learning opportunity, right?
Yes.
So walk us through, to some of our young leaders out there that some of this, what maybe I can term it as unusual sources of learning, even though it's in the same company, and suddenly it's like, you find an opportunity to learn, and nobody comes and tells you, hey, attend the meeting, pay attention, learn from there. So can you do a little bit more elaboration on that?
Exactly. Um, when we are sitting through a meeting, some of the meetings where we are not a direct contributor, we are not
Mhm.
presenting, right? And we are in a listening mode, right?
Mm,
I
mm,
wouldn't say completely passive listening mode, but there
mm,
are group meetings like that where you are a listener and there will be a slot for you to contribute, but otherwise you are a
mhm,
mostly listener.
mhm,
um, so one thing, whenever I am in such a meeting, I observe, um, mainly from the question answer section, right?
okay.
How the challenging questions are coming
Mm,
and how the response or the reaction coming from the other side. Because
mhm,
many a times that's where we will be stuck. We are fully prepared on our content and our subject or competency, but when there are challenges coming in, some are very relevant and logical and some are not,
mhm,
but both you need to handle it. These kind of learnings are no books can teach, I feel. I mean, our experience and your observation,
yeah.
I think, and then the willingness and openness to learn from even people who are much juniors to you, or
Mhm,
they are not at all getting along with you, kind of a people. You learn more from the people who give you challenges.
mhm,
This is what I
mhm,
have told also recently.
mhm,
Actually, many people used to collaborate with me very much, because I am a natural collaborator.
mhm.
But the lessons that I have learned are from those who have not collaborated with me and who have given me tough time,
Okay.
actually. So,
Okay. Mhm,
that gives a different perspective, and it will make us stronger. I think
mhm,
that will make
mhm,
us stronger
mhm,
to
mhm.
to
Yeah.
deal with situations.
Okay, that's great. So I want to pick up on two topics. I think you have been throwing so many kind of, nuggets. I'm kind of finding it hard to kind of collect it here. So there are two things. One is, again, in today's world, when we talk to young leaders, we realize that especially when they are getting ready for a presentation to a top leader, right? Or a top business leader, they're presenting, they are whatever. So one thing we keep hearing from them is um, they want to be fully prepared for that meeting, which I think is okay, is really important. But most often they struggle when they start getting two, three surprise questions. Uh, do you have some thoughts for the young leaders out there, like how you have dealt with that, and how
Yeah,
do you kind of make sure your presence is still calm, composed, if I
yeah.
can put it that way?
Yeah, that's very, very important.
Hmm.
Maintaining the composure, I think
Hmm.
calm and composed. I think this is very, very important.
Hmm.
And our body language and showing ourselves confident
Hmm.
on the subject or on the proposal or whatever that we are making. I
Hmm.
think that is very important. That itself will control a little bit audience and they will be focused. So I think that's very important.
Hmm.
Howsoever we are prepared and without knowing the audience,
Hmm.
how can we be prepared fully?
Hmm.
So I think knowing the audience is very important.
Hmm.
Many a times what I felt is a technical leader or a manager will come prepared only technically to the subject, and they are presenting to 2 level above or 3 level above who
Hmm.
are business leaders, and they are into they are seeing a different perspective of a business.
Hmm.
So they need to be prepared for them. So this is what I tell them, that if I am preparing for 2 level above, I am preparing in an abstraction, right? The
Hmm. Hmm.
30,000 feet abstraction. But I have all the way up to the ground, which I have prepared. So I know how to present in an abstraction way for my 3 level above leaders.
Yeah.
Then,
Hmm.
if the questions are coming to 10,000 feet, I am prepared to answer, then to the detail. So, when we say I am prepared fully, which means we know from bottom up till the top, and we are able to abstract it and present it. I think this is one thing. And if there are genuine questions, of course we can answer. We don't have to be nervous to answer all the questions. So
Hmm.
I have seen sometimes people, even of my peers, they
Hmm.
become nervous to, and they'll be jumping into answering all the questions. And we don't have to answer also all the
Yeah.
questions. If we
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
not prepared, we can always go back, and
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
an interview, and even in the
Sure.
interview we can do so.
Sure.
So
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that is one thing.
Okay.
And uh, another one is, we are all colleagues, right? It is
Hmm.
that situation. So
Yeah.
it is not that we have to go and make a very good pitch and be
Exactly.
successful. I think this is more of a mental preparation, as well as the confidence in your topic, and have you thought through all the angles.
Hmm.
Many a times when we go to a leadership, you know they will connect it to the business, they will
Sure.
connect it to the people, they'll connect it to the process product.
Hmm.
And so we cannot just go and present something. So it
Sure.
depends on with whom you present and how you are prepared.
Sure.
And
Sure. No, I think that's a great thing. And
mm,
do you think that maintaining this body language and
mm.
calm, composed, it'll come only through experience, or you need to keep telling yourself that, hey, look, be prepared, and so on? What is your technique?
Yes. Of course, there is this personality and how you have been brought up, or what you have believed to be in, right? It's
Hmm.
like how I want to be seen as. I think that is how I want to be identified as, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, I don't want to be identified as a person who will shout and scream, or
Yeah.
I don't want to be identified like
As that.
that.
Okay. Hmm.
So I want to maintain a professional demeanor in the
Hmm.
office.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
even at a very critical situation or whatever, I want to maintain that, right?
Hmm.
So this is a conscious effort,
Okay. Hmm.
and it is hard. I can share with you that it is very easy to shout and scream and yell and then say sorry. That's very easy.
Yeah.
Or you cry, and I mean, it's very easy to show our emotions. It's not about not showing vulnerability. It is always misunderstood, this
Misunderstood.
vulnerability,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
is about dealing with things in a professional way.
Mm.
So once we are clear that I am dealing with a professional thing, I think we will automatically maintain that.
Mm. Mm.
And if you are prepared mentally on who are all your audience, who will be questioning you, just to challenge you for the namesake, who will be genuinely
Yeah.
challenging you. The
Yeah.
genuine cases are easy to address. The other cases, right, you need to handle it as it goes and sometimes ignore it. I mean, this is how I have handled it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it bothers for sure,
Sure.
KP. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a very, very useful tip for leaders out there. Hey, this spawns off one interesting thought, and I wanted to hear from what you think. Suppose you were talking about this whole review, and maybe there are a lot of peer leaders. At any point of time, do you think that you wanted to jump in to support your peer? Would that be a good leadership and see how you can all help each other? Can you throw some light on that?
exactly. I
Mm-hmm.
think technically in someone else's function,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just jump in
Mm.
and then create a situation that I know better
Sure.
versus the other person, but the otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When things are not going in a professional way, and when one person needs some support, and
Mm-hmm.
usually in a very formal setup a moderator should do or organizer should do, but many a times it won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So then as a peer, can I sit and watch? Because the same situation can happen to me
Something to.
also
Yeah.
on
Mm-hmm.
another day. So I would jump in. I have done that also, few times to
Mm-hmm.
support in,
Mm-hmm.
but it is very tricky, and we need to be very confident.
And
Can we do it in the beginning of our career? I don't know. Even I have not done that in the very
okay.
beginning of my career, but
Okay.
it needs that leadership courage also
Courage.
to
Mm-hmm.
support the right thing
Mm.
without just watching.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a tricky topic.
Yeah, no, but I think you're absolutely right. The leadership courage is about not necessarily just sitting in a meeting and saying, "Hey, it's not my job," and
Yeah,
somebody else is taking the thing, because we are assuming that all of you are part of the same team or same organization, everybody working towards this common business goal. That's what essentially leadership is about. I hope, I think that's a very important, kind of message. Um, okay, I want to get into one more kind of really interesting topic, and I think
okay.
you already brought it up. So, uh, again, we talk to very senior leaders, during our transformation, during our coaching, etc. One of the constant things many leaders confide in us is, I don't want to show my vulnerability to my team. They should not know that, oh, I don't know this. They should not know what I'm going through. And you also brought it up, this whole vulnerability in leadership, etc. Can you throw some light and say how do you manage? What exactly is your kind of way to deal with that?
Yeah, I think this vulnerability is linked to authenticity.
Uh-huh.
And, if we want to be authentic, we cannot just fake around saying that I'm an expert in this, expert in that, because as you grow into the leadership, you are not an expert in all the areas.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you handle breadth topics. It's not just the depth topic which you have done hands on, you will always get a chance to handle. So you will, as you grow, you will handle a breadth of topics which you are not an expert, but you will know overall in the big picture where it fits in and how you want to, channelize and direct the team. So the first thing is I am very open with the team, what I know, what is my expertise, and how I can add value, how I can help you with things, right? So these are my strengths that you can leverage on me.
Yes.
So this is always they will look at, right? I mean, what is her value add or
Mm-hmm.
his value add to me?
Mm-hmm.
As you grow, because you have seniors with you
Mm-hmm.
in the reporting to you,
Yes.
and so showing the vulnerability is a strength, than a weakness.
Showing
And
vulnerability is a strength.
the
Okay.
strength, you have to be really confident to show your vulnerability that, hey, I am not a, let's say, if I am not a software person, I am a mechanical person, then I should, if I am leading a software industry, it's very common in the auto industry now.
Yeah.
So we should show, hey, I am not from a software background, but I understand, guys. So, this is how it is. So I think showing vulnerability needs a lot of courage and confidence for the leader, and then they will automatically respect, okay, how can I engage my leader, and how can I leverage my leader on what kind of aspects. Yeah, so this is one. This is showing what I do not know, or I am not fully aware of things.
Okay.
It is always linked to emotion. Many a times people think that vulnerability means you need to shout, you need to cry, you need to say, I'm frustrated, I am, somehow I am little bit,
Yeah.
it's, we cannot be always vulnerable at work, right?
Work.
Let us say if I am in a tough situation, many of the times I am in that kind of a situation,
Okay.
I cannot pass it on to my team every time, because they need to focus on the work, they need to deliver. I can't come and say, hey, I had this tough conversation, I have this one, I did one. I mean, it's not necessary. I need to also uh, pass on the right message which will help me to deliver that common goal.
Sure.
So to that extent, to sensitize them, I will show my vulnerability. Sometimes I show the vulnerability more than that I am actually
You're
feeling,
actually
to
okay.
sensitize them. For example, right, to sensitize to the importance of it, criticality of it, because they are not facing directly the heat and I am facing.
Yeah.
For that sake, I show, in fact,
Sure.
to get it done, right?
Sure.
But otherwise, of course, I say, nowadays in the recent leadership styles, it is accepted to say, guys, I am really
Yeah.
frustrated,
Yeah.
I am annoyed, and
Yeah.
I cannot go and say to a junior engineer this one. So
Yeah.
it depends on
Who
who you
you're
are dealing
talking
with,
to.
and I tell that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so
Yeah, I know. I think that's a very useful, kind of tip. But stretching this, extending this whole vulnerability, because this is again a lot of times people come back. Oh, like when I'm working with my own team, I know them well, probably they know me better, so on. But when it comes to my boss, I don't want to show my kind of vulnerability because I don't know what he or she will think. And then forget about showing vulnerability among peers. Okay. So yeah, what is your thought around that?
yeah. um, to the boss, right?
Yeah.
It depends on the trust level and the relationship that you maintain with your boss. It's a
Mm-hmm.
50-50 thing, right? Just because I am a boss, I cannot expect my team only to put effort to build the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
always, up and down, right? So it's a 50-50 thing to build that rapport and relationship.
Yeah.
Based on that only, we can be open on things, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not about hiding or what this person will think, because
Mm-hmm.
again, the confidence level matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because beyond a certain point, you are not working for the rating in the end of the year or some hike, but
Okay. Mm-hmm.
beyond certain level, you are you are doing that as a mission. This is my mission, this
Yeah.
is my common goal, and you are
Yeah.
achieving
Mm-hmm.
it. So we can openly talk about it with the boss, because the organization structure is also in such a way that my goal is my boss's goal
Sure.
also. So
Mm-hmm.
that way we need to show, we cannot show always green, and we
Yeah.
have to show the red and yellow
Okay.
also.
Yellow also.
But most importantly, the relationship matters, because when I take it to the boss and boss is ignoring or trivializing, or hey, what is this also you can't do, then then next time I will not take it. So that's where I'm saying this 50-50 thing.
Sure.
Based on that, I think we need to
Sure.
be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable to the
Mm-hmm.
peer thing. No, the second
Mm-hmm.
point, KP,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
tricky, very
Okay.
tricky.
Very tricky. Uh-huh.
Because sometimes it's misused. With your boss, you can be open. With your team, you can be open. The
Open.
peer level, right? Peer level can misuse. But one thing I follow is, trust someone until they prove you wrong.
Until they prove
So
you wrong. Okay.
I don't want to go with the suspicious feeling first towards my colleagues
Mm-hmm.
or peers. I want to trust them. And then, if they prove me wrong, then I have to handle it differently, where I can show my vulnerability, where I cannot show my vulnerability. So, I need to do case to case basis.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, excellent. So trust and relationship with
yeah,
people you're working with, whether it is your own team members, of course, with your manager, with your boss, with
yeah.
peers. Trust someone, go with a mantra until you're proven wrong. Yeah, I think that's a very nice value to carry rather
Mm,
than starting with a suspicion and
yeah.
putting the effort. All right. No, I think this has been fantastic. A lot of points which you talked about, especially yourself as a leader, leadership, courage, um, vulnerability, how you deal with people, and so on. So maybe the last couple of minutes, there is always a lot of discussion within the technology companies and say, oh, like how you can create impact on business, right? As a young leader, as a senior leader, whatever level, etc. So I know like it's a big topic, but I just wanted to hear from you some thoughts.
Mm.
What you can advise to young leaders as they're growing up. How do they view creating impact on business?
Yeah, sure. And creating impact to a business, we need to have the business acumen first.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It is not about just the skill set, right? I
Mm-hmm.
am a very good coder in embedded C or C++ plus plus or Java. So that's just a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go evolve into a domain knowledgeable person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working in active safety, you're working in driver experience, so you are in an automotive industry, or we can go on and on. So your domain expertise, right? You are evolving into a domain expertise. As an engineering leader, I am going into
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a path.
Yep.
Then you are getting into an
Yep.
engineering leader, which means you are a people leader as well as a product technology process leader
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Then you are getting into that. So this is kind of an evolution.
Mm.
And without going through this, if you are still only an engineer, very difficult to make an impact on the business.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get into the work that I do, how that is impacting the business. Where am I, or which dot is mine in
Okay.
the overall truck or in the overall car? And then how the truck is sold or car is sold, or whichever product is sold and which market.
Okay.
And then you start educating yourself, and through your intranet sources, internet sources. This is where one has to step by step evolve and understand which business is getting impacted through my work. I think this is a understanding first, and then get into impacting that business.
Mm-hmm.
One is organically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Organically is okay, I am doing some software development, I
Mm-hmm.
can do it more efficient way, I will do platform, I will do this, I will do that, bottom line impact, right? So I will
Mm-hmm.
create more bottom line impact, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Then as you grow, how can I bring a top line impact, right? So
Mm.
what can I do differently? Then an out of the box transformational idea. So that
Okay.
will be a differentiator. So one is,
Wow.
nowadays, doing your work in an exceptional way is taken, or you
Taken.
have to do it. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what will be your differentiator is the transformational or a strategic idea that you
Mm-hmm.
brought in, which is not there in the business,
Mm-hmm.
or which is there somewhere, but it's 10 years it's taking, but you are putting an effort to make it in 5 years or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to understand the business,
Okay.
and that is a long term perspective. They need to have that. Another one, pay attention to the multi perspectives. That will
Perspectives.
also
Yeah.
a big education, that you everybody is a teacher for you, and you can learn from
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everybody around.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think without knowing the business, you cannot bring impact. I mean, this is how I see
That's
it.
great. No, I think this is, I think there were a couple of very strong messages I saw that, okay, first of all, simply just looking at, okay, I'm doing my job well, whether it's at whatever leadership position, probably is not enough. I mean,
Mm,
that is, you know, um, just necessary but not sufficient kind of thing. But I also like the way you said, find your dot, in this big, kind of world of business or big product, how you can create that impact. And then of course try to learn, pay attention to what is happening around. And so I think these were some excellent kind of inputs to our young leaders. Um, yeah, it has been an excellent conversation. Is there anything, in 30 seconds, something which you wanted to share with our, listeners? Please go ahead.
Yeah, so always I say two things, KP.
Uh-huh.
I like this one of the quotes of this Apollo mission, right?
Yeah.
Um, so dictum's quote, so which is tough and competent. So be
Uh-huh.
tough and competent.
Uh-huh.
Um, Being tough is not like you are physically tough or mentally tough. It's beyond. It is a steel trap accountability.
Okay.
So that's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and last but not the least, focus on your goals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ignore the noises.
Ah,
So
okay.
the
Mm-hmm.
noises will distract you from your goals. So
Yeah.
focus on your goals. And
Okay.
this is what.
Excellent. Excellent. Tough
Yeah.
and competent. I just love this term, steel trap accountability. Focus on goals, ignore noise, and I think you will get to your goals. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Angelin, it has been a wonderful conversation. Thanks a lot for so many of these knowledge nuggets. I'm sure our listeners will take immense value out of this. So I thank you again for being on the show and wish you a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, KP. Thanks for this opportunity to share my experience, thoughts, and the journey. I also opened up a lot. I
Okay.
think with the right questions that you have
Okay. Okay.
also, put through. And thank you. And you
Thank
have a
you.
wonderful day too.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Full Stack Leadership Podcast. Please don't forget to share your feedback, any suggestions on improvement, or specific leadership topics to talk about. Feel free to share the link to this podcast with your colleagues and friends who you think might find it useful. Thanks again, and I'm your host Krishna Prasad, signing off for now.